Mr. James Scarlett, we go again, sir.
Hiya, mate. You okay? You've gone all white on us. Where's the black lovely background?
Where's the carcass now, actually wizard
Are you
posters?
you're not in Mexico, are you?
I feel honestly, I feel like you pulled the rug under for my feet today because it's beautiful in Scotland, right? It's absolutely beautiful in Scotland, and I couldn't help but pour myself a beautiful wee pint of Westons. This is now my third, and this is I've described previously as Wreck the Hoose juice, 7.3%, and it gets messy quickly. So I'm thinking we're going to do this. Go on, have a wee chat. We'll make it geeky. It'll be a bit of the contract and have a few drinks. Been a happy day. Everything's all good and enjoy it. And you say, Gavin, why don't we do a podcast about Dragged Into Sunlight, brand new and clutch? But like, there's my first sort of like, oh, probably shouldn't do this with a couple of drinks in me. Secondly, my fucking internet connection is dog shit. I've just had to admit defeat, bring down the laptop down from my office. I've got some makeshift set up in front of me, which is a table, my printer, my wedding album, and then a laptop on top of me in this beige, nondescript fucking champagne suite. My wife calls the front living room. So it's I feel completely uncomfortable and discombobulated, but at least we'll have some audio and video. So that's why I'm in a white room or beige room, James. How about you? How you
Lovely.
getting on it?
What? Well, it was noted that you've got a front living room. Presumably, there's also a back living room to go with it, next to the
Don't,
pay,
mate, don't
next to
do
the
the
stables.
presumably bit now. You fucking done me a cracker in Glasgow saying I was the biggest Tory in the podcast. I've seen his house. He's a Tory.
Um, I'm good, thanks, mate. I think we should congratulate ourselves on a record-breaking week of downloads. The most people that have ever listened and watched to the podcast in the last 7 days. In the first 66 episodes, this is the winner.
So last week's was the winner. So that
Last
was
week's was the
that was
winner,
another
yeah.
reason I was sitting here because like so in the first days, Damnation debrief has been the most successful pod we've ever put out in the first day in the first week, and then last week we put out the tour debrief. People love a good debrief apparently, and that smashed Damnation into the second place, and then today it smashed Damnation's first week downloads into second place with a day and a half to spare. So yes, people were very interested. After I take it, those who went to the tour and those who didn't. So that was another reason for me to pull my wee cider today and look forward to talking about clause 6 and the contract before you said no. I don't want to do that. I want to talk about Dragged Into Sunlight.
I did note that you messaged me at 4 minutes to four with a photo of you in the sunshine with a cider, I knew what you were trying to do because I've been on tour with you. It's like there's always someone going, I should have a little beer. But I have not bitten on that. I was hugely tempted, but no, I haven't. But yeah, we'll do the
We're not a
contract.
weather podcast. I don't want to get boring after a year. But how is the weather down in Bristol? You guys getting the same heat wave we're getting?
Mate, absolutely. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's actually quite cold if you're not in the sunshine, but there is a lot of sunshine. So if you get in it, it's nice. Um, but yeah, all good down here. And yeah, it just felt like the news was calling us this week. It's like we've been on tour doing this sort of off the record stories. One of them was about Dragged Into Sunlight, they're in the news. One of them was about Brand New, they're in the news. And then there was this other thing about Clutch, and it just felt like rock and metal and were just in the news this week, so we
Yeah,
should
and I
talk
don't know
about it.
about you, or maybe it's my connection. It dragged into something. I was battered with people's opinions on Dragged Into Sunlight. I got DMs, private messages. I thought somebody started a WhatsApp chat that I get included in about Dragged Into Sunlight. I was getting it from all. I'm like, I'm not in Dragged Into Sunlight. I am not their spokesman. I'm not their PR. In fact, I'm the only promoter really who's vocally been like, they are a difficult band to work with, but I always found that the payoff was worth the problems. So they're that good that I mean, it was a video they done for their own promo that I said those words that ultimately they are a difficult band to work with and their characters, but the live show is what it is. And if you're willing to go through the pain and heartache of dealing with Dragged Into Sunlight, you are going to get the live show. And My opinion never changed that, but I just feel like people have got so little access to Dragged Into Sunlight, they don't quite know who they are or what they are or why they are, that when something like that happens, it's no easy just to go to the manager or publicist or whatever. So I feel like I was just that, no, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? Have you seen this guy? Have you seen what done after this? And I was a bit like, you know, I don't have an official affiliation with the band. I'm just the guy that managed to book them. So, you're right. People wanted to ask me a lot and would probably found it weird if we never spoke to them. The brand new situation, I mean, God, you made me go and study brand. I don't really know much about brand new, so I had to go and investigate all that nonsense. So that's been in the nonsense. That's clever. And then, and, and
Fucking
then
hell.
the clutch thing is again. Oh, what do people think about that? And they get mentioned. So, let's save. I never wanted to do a geeky episode, but I thought we will do a geeky episode. There is people that have been listening now, like I wasn't at the tour. I don't really know about the tour. I didn't care about the last Q&A. I want to know more about clause 17 in the contract. We will get to the next week. Will possibly be the contract. Then we'll do that one, and we'll go through it clause by clause and what bands expect for us and what we are able to provide and what we're not. But you're right, James. This is one of these ones where it's one of these episodes just kind of fall on your lap. People want your opinion on it. So here we are. You have an opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And also just much like you, my DMs were blowing up about both these things. So should we tackle the Dragged into Sunlight one first?
Well,
Um,
and what we've learned from doing that tour was half the people listening to this podcast like, who the fuck are Dragged Into Sunlight and what he's talking about? So no one's a better table setter than you, James. What is the Dragged Into Sunlight situation?
yeah, so I mean just to quickly talk about the thing on the tour was just us talking about how tricky Dragged into Sunlight can be and telling a couple of stories that were done with very much a sort of cheeky grin and a wink to them, I think. Because apart from when you're actually in the middle of the hell of dealing with Dragged into Sunlight, it's quite funny to look back on. I always think, and mine is my beef is 12 years old now, so it's kind of past. Anyway, so there's a band called Meth who are playing Arctangent this year. It just so happens, and so Meth sound like sort of. I mean, they're like a horrible version of Chat Pile. They make Chat Pile sound like Britney Spears. So Meth put out this statement on Saturday, saying, with apologies to our fans who had bought tickets and were looking forward to seeing us supporting Dragged Into Sunlight on their US tour, Dragged Into Sunlight have decided to kick us off the tour purely on the basis our last album being released by Prosthetic Records, who they don't like. Our album was released by Prosthetic in February 24, which Dragged Into Sunlight's manager cannot have been unaware of when he directly offered the tour to us, by brackets bypassing our booking agent. We then proceeded to confirm the tour, send through the promo assets to Dragged Into Sunlight's team, and subsequently be announced for the tour over a month ago. We cannot fathom why now, out of the blue, they have discovered we are on a label they do not want to be associated with, a label they're aware we're not even on anymore. This just shows very poor professionalism, lax standards, and an inability to perform even minuscule due diligence on the part of Dragon Sunlight and their team at Tone Management. This has obviously had a ripple effect on our finances, and we need all the help we can get with funding our European tour. That's not the end of the statement, but that's the main bones of it. So that was on Saturday, and then on Monday, Dragged Into Sunlight responded. So in the intervening time, lots of people kind of weighed in, and obviously we were getting lots of private messages as well. And I was kind of just sitting here waiting for a Dragged Into Sunlight statement, and that came on Monday. And it said Meth will. They didn't actually make a statement about this situation. They wrote about their tour, and in the middle of that, they said this: Meth will no longer be opening the tour due to an oversight by our small team. Although they parted ways with the label a few days ago, their records are still actively being sold and distributed, which conflicts with our position. We raised concerns early on, but unfortunately they were not acknowledged. We had a chat with the band, and afterwards it did not feel right. We choose who we work with, and it feels like a fairly basic artistic freedom to be able to do so. Moving on, we're looking forward to the tour. We added some killer artists who we know better and who like and respect us as much as we like and respect them. So, I mean, it's fair to say that has gone down pretty badly. And then, so
Yeah,
really,
fuck, it's going down like doing a 15-date tour of Russia. It's been fucking, it's how badly that's going down, I would say.
yeah. So really, what this, I think what people, this is not necessarily my opinion, but what people are saying is it's deeply unfair of Dragged into Sunlight to have kicked meth off the tour, and no doubt hammered their finances in doing so for being having previously been signed to Prosthetic Records, which presumably Dragged into Sunlight were also previously signed to, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
so I mean, the background to that bit is before we get into where we are now, is Dragged Into Sunlight had some sort of beef with Prosthetic Records that they went quite deep into, and a video was released with some guy in a balaclava saying about how they were mistreated or didn't enjoy the experience with Prosthetic and felt they were getting fucked over about how many albums left in their deal or what they should provide and what they shouldn't provide. Now, when you recall when we were on tour and I mean, possibly in London, somebody said, why don't you ever just stand up for yourselves when agents break exclusivity and just go, fuck you, draw the line in the sand and that's it, your band's off the poster. And the answer we gave, I think I was talking about Ministry at the time when Ministry broke exclusivity and added like a Southampton show, is ultimately the fans do not care. They don't care. What they care about is they have bought a ticket in good faith for your festival and they want to see that band. And they don't care about the inside baseball shit. They don't care about the dramas one way or the other, or how you've been screwed over, or how many agents get extra money at you, or how you've had to do that with your booking fee. They just want what's been promised to them on the poster. Some of them are a bit, okay, well, we would rather that promoter wasn't done over, that band wasn't done over, but largely they don't give a shit. And that was my feeling back when Dragged Into Sunlight had the big spat with Prosthetic, that largely fans, even if they like it, hit the love heart and say, "Oh, that's terrible," they don't care. I mean, they'll just scroll past it. It's industry bullshit. It's like, well, which band? Find me a band that thinks, "Oh, you know what? I've got a great deal with my label. I love my label." It's like, find me a band that thinks, "Oh, I love their promoters." It's like that's just part and parcel of the business. And when that stuff happened years back, that was my genuine feeling. It was like, it seems like an awful lot of dirty laundry washing that should really just stay behind the scenes because you're not gaining a great deal from it. And here it is rearing its ugly head so many years later.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are right that record label does bad deal for band is not necessarily news. Which is not that's not to me that's not to say you shouldn't kick against it, of course. But in this situation, I feel massively I feel massively sorry for Meth. Because the finances of touring are not great for bands, you know, and they would have planned their whole strategy around this tour. So it does. I mean, people are properly kicking off. I mean, if anyone
Yeah,
wants to sort of
to be clear,
gone,
so what's happened is because this is the bit I didn't believe was true before Dragged Into Sunlight confirmed it. I didn't believe for a second that Dragged Into Sunlight had kicked off a band off the tour because of their association, current or former, with a record label. I mean, it's just I can totally understand the whole we will do nothing with this record label, we feel screwed over. But this is not harming the record label at all. They'll just, you could argue that maybe Meth would have shifted 50 vinyl when they were there, but surely before hitting the nuclear button, plan B is Meth stay in the tour, but you cannot sell anything associated or would provide any sort of profit towards Prosthetic Records, which would only be the album. So, I mean, you think about how many bands show up at festivals every other week and they're allowed to sell one item of merch, one t-shirt on a board. So you go to Sport Band, you say, listen, guys, we missed the fact that you were on this record label that we have got serious beef with, and it's a red line for us to support that label in any way. You cannot sell any of your records on tour that are going to make money for that label. And then Meth have got a choice to make. But at least they've got a choice to make. But it sounds like they just went nuclear and just went, oh, you're associated with Prosthetic Records. You're no longer on it. So the who that's damaging is Meth, who, as it happens now, are no longer even with Prosthetic Records. So it's just a bit like, I, it's a head scratcher because there's no exit that looks good for Dragged Into Sunlight. Either they were ignorant and unprofessional and that they offered a band and never checked to see something that's clearly so important to them, or they're ignorant, unprofessional, and petty, and then they've done that, which is how it's came across. So there's no explanation with Dragged Into Sunlight like it's going to come out and say, oh, that's right, actually, this is you versus Prosthetic, because it's always like you kicking someone else. to try and get a prosthetic. It doesn't even sound like it's going to get there either.
Do you think they give a fuck though? It kind
Maybe
of
not.
this totally like feeds into the like it feeds into the sort of mythology which we have fed over the last few months and on the tour. The Dragged into Sunlight don't give a fuck and they do what they want and if they're difficult or upset people, they don't actually care. And actually, the one thing I would say here, because I'm not here to kick Dragged into Sunlight, although feel terrible for meth. Some people out there, they love a good cancelling, don't they? They're like they're basically getting the guillotine out and they want a public fucking flogging or whatever. And and it's and I'm not fucking backing that.
Yeah.
This is not like a let's end Dragged into Sunlight's career offence. It's ridiculous. That people would suggest that. There's other stuff behind the scenes that we probably don't know about. I mean, there's stuff doing the rounds that is behind the scenes that is being shared around the music industry that we see and we won't talk about on here, I don't think. But it's probably more multi-layered than it may seem. And I don't think they've carried themselves well here. I don't think they give a fuck about carrying themselves well. And but I'm not cancelling them. That would be my position on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree that there is definitely that pile on because you get people that are so preloaded to let's go and get them. It's like so now it's not just a case of oh we can't stand you because you done this to meth. It's like and your posers because you play with your back to the crowd. You're like how's that a thing? I mean, fucking Amin Ra played with back. Like that's just a. At the end of the day, they're not there to please you. The whole point of the fucking album's called Hatred for Mankind. They're not there to give you flowers and roses. So I get that, and potentially don't care. I mean, my gut feeling is they probably do in the sense that they the same way they care about the whole situation, the way it panned out pathetic, and they do take things. They can take things quite seriously. I don't know. My real feeling is just a heavy sigh. Here's this band that are incredible. They showed up out of nowhere and levelled damnation. A set that will now be in folklore. By all intents and purposes, it sounds like they've just done that again at Siam Festival or Sheham. I can fucking never pronounce that one. The one in Belgium just happened at the weekend. But it looks like they had another absolute blinder. They've got Maryland Death Fest lined up. They're no doubt they're going to go and blow that away. And then this US tour, I'm sure would be a huge success for them as well. And it just seemed like they finally got they're finally a band that if they could do whatever they wanted and get the fees of a big band to go and do it. And then completely come out of nowhere. And there's a bit of that as well. They do keep themselves to themselves, and it is a very, as they say, a small operation. And there's a wee bit of like that's its own curse, isn't it? Because when you don't have the manager, you don't have the publicist, you don't have the booking agent, you've got none of that support system around you. There would maybe just be that one wee buffer. Something like let's say I was involved with Dragged into Sunlight and this whole thing was coming about, I would be like if this is as it comes across as it says in the tin, let's just go with a plan B first. Let's just get the records off the merch desk and make sure there's no profits made for prosthetic. You're the headline band. You've got every right to demand that. And then if they tell you, no, they're not doing this and they want to sell their records, then you can be like, right, okay, we try to reach a compromise and they're off the bill. At least you've got, at that point, you've got some sort of argument, some sort of discussion was had, which appears not to have been had. Whereas if it's all coming out where both parties are saying it happened, and then you're like, just having that layer of people. And the problem with not being part of the music industry and not having anyone involved in the music industry around about you is when you're back being part of it again and then you make a rash decision like that, it can backfire and then you've got all this fucking good work that they've done. Because who knows? I mean, especially the cancel culture at the minute, fucking people getting their careers torched left, right and centre. What is the hunger for the next festival to go, okay, let's get Dragged into Sunlight because they're going to be as exceptional as they definitely will be? Is it now that as soon as they're announced, you're just going to get this fucking sea of comments? First 100 be like, they fucked over meth, fuck that, posers, all that shit. Like, that shit following you about, like, for the next year, 2 years to you. They just go, you know what, it's not worth it to pack it in. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I agree with you. I don't think when you make a decision, you're allowed to make some decisions, good or bad, and still have a career. People go out and make decisions that are not popular all the time and are still allowed to make a living and be careers. I mean, fuck's sake, I think that you've added some cancel culture one in here. any way that we can get to the future. But we get bands kicking about that have made fucking horrific decisions and changed people's lives and still allowed to go to a make career. I think it dragged it into something like not wanting a support band in a slot doesn't equal no longer being allowed to be a band that can tour.
No, absolutely it doesn't. And I would even given my history and this, I would still book Dragged into Sunlight. But like I said, I think a band with the album Hatred for Mankind as the name and everything we know about them, I just think I almost hope this is water off a duck's back to them because it's the brand. It's what they do. They're not, they're not doing what a lot of heavy bands would be doing and running around being Nazis or whatever. And we'd be cancelling people for that. But if they're being a bit objectionable, it seems to totally fit their brand to me. Um, but I think my final thing I would say is on Meth is they're playing Arctangent. So let's make sure everyone go and fucking listen to Meth. Let's pack that fucking tent and let's buy some fucking Meth merch and support them. And that would be a nice sort of little bit of blue sky at the end of this, I think.
Absolutely. So from that lovely topic, let's talk about brand new. For fuck's sake,
Um,
James, I want to talk about contracts with you. Tell us now.
okay.
We went out and you were discussing brand new. I knew nothing about this fucking band. I knew that the name brand new, and I heard some allegations kicking about. I don't know, 2017 or 18, whenever it was disappeared, and that was it. I couldn't tell you a brand new song title, album title, and if they played in the distance, I might be able to guess who they are, but I'm not sure I've even heard a tune. So I knew nothing about brand new before this all resurfaced.
Yeah, so we're not the tour is going to stay as the tour, and if you heard stuff on the tour that's not been on the podcast before, which you will have, it's all going to stay there. Apart from in these very rare occurrences where it makes sense to talk about it. So on maybe 3 dates on the tour, we talked about brand new, and I'd never discussed in public that they were booked to headline 2000 Trees in 2018, and in 2017. The lead singer, Jesse Lacey, got himself cancelled. We'll come on to the reason why. It was quite a shock to me because we hadn't announced them yet. I was literally lying in bed, flicking through my phone before I went to sleep, scrolling through Facebook, and just saw the allegations come out. And I knew immediately that booking was not happening. It was over, and we'd lost a headliner. So and I kind of I just moved on. I wasn't it was like a prime 2000 Trees booking, one of the best bookings I've ever made at the time. It was like an Alexis on Fire level booking. But I wasn't a massive brand new fan. I was kind of a casual brand new fan. So I've just never listened to them again and just moved on with my life. And then to my surprise, they announced a 24-date US tour recently. So they they kind of they'd just gone from having these sexual misconduct allegations involving the singer, then them kind of apologizing and disappearing, and then they're suddenly back. Now, why are we talking about this now? We're talking about this now because after announcing this tour, there's now been a previously undisclosed grooming allegation has emerged. So, um, just so I don't get myself sued, I'm going to read to you from enemy.com.
I don't think
Because
that's going
presumably
to
that
help. Also, I don't know how much you know about defamation legislation, but once you repeat it, you are the new source. You know what I mean? So
good, good. Well, I've
just
had
make
a
sure just make sure you're happy with what you're reading for NME.com.
okay, good. I've had myself in hot water before. It's fine. Um, okay, in 2000, this is from enemy.com. In 2017, Brand New withdrew from the public eye after sexual misconduct allegations involving Lacey and a minor went public. Shortly afterwards, two more women came forward with additional allegations. Lacey responded at the time by offering an apology for actions of my past, which he said had caused pain and harm to a number of people. I want to say that I'm absolutely sorry. I do not stand in defense of myself, nor do I forgive myself. I was selfish, narcissistic, and insensitive in my past, and there are a number of people who have had to shoulder the burden of my failures, he said at the time. I apologize for the hurt I've caused and hope to be able to take the correct action to earn forgiveness and trust. Now, this is not him speaking anymore. Now, amid news of the band's re-emergence, another woman has come forward with a previously undisclosed allegation of grooming that she claims began in 2005. In a post on Medium, a woman named Ayana detailed an alleged pattern of grooming behavior from Lacey while she was 15 years old. Now, I've read the full article. Anyone wants to read it, they can go and read it. I didn't really want to go too far down the 15-year-old being groomed, me reading it out blow by blow. It doesn't make good reading, needless to say. And it kind of, I mean, like I said when we were on the tour, I mean, this is before this came out for a second time. It kind of raises the question over who is and isn't cancelled in the rock world, because you've got Marilyn Manson. I mean, go and watch the Channel 4 documentary. You've got him, Marilyn Manson, swanning around touring with all the comments closed on his posts. I think it's true to say that brand new, even the venues that are announcing the shows, all the comments are closed on those posts. So it's basically like a comment-free world we're living in. We've got old Phil Anselmo having a lovely time running around the world, touring in arenas, post-Nazi salute. And a bunch, millions of examples of all different grades of good and bad, or bad and terrible, and what is cancelled. And are they gonna just weather this now and just be like, fuck it? Everyone knew about the grooming. I said sorry. I went away for a number of years. I've come back and announced a 24-date US tour. So in some ways, does another grooming allegation, this is not me speaking, but it's me asking the question, does another grooming allegation actually affect whether or not you want to go and see brand new? Because you already knew about the other ones, which he
Yeah.
didn't deny.
Yeah.
So
And then you've got that weird situation we'll find ourselves in, which which definitely does happen, because you're getting, if we're offered anything that involves Phil Anselmo, it's like, is it really worth the bother and the grief? Yeah, the same people that give you the bother and the grief probably would or have bought Black Sabbath tickets for the show at Villa Park, and you're like, well, okay, well, Phil Anselmo's there, endorsed by that whole experience, and David Draymond, who's signing bombs that's getting dropped in Palestine, are there. Yeah, I'm the one that's going to get, and my festival's the one that's going to get people going to want cancelled if he was to ever show up in a band like Scour. And then you're going to watch brand new ultimately be booked for bigger UK rock festivals, and then be like, there's no chance I'm booking brand new because I'm not the one. And that's fine. It's like, I'm saying we can be morally on that side of it, but we're still a business as well. And then you're like, here's Phil Anselmo and Pantera and in a stadium with Black Sabbath, but unsuitable for damnation. And here's brand new. I mean, I'm not going to suggest what festivals they might be at, but if they show up at those festivals, are you going to be sitting there like, here us? It's great having the moral high ground, but sometimes the moral high ground could be the festivals that collapse because they don't have the bands that sell the tickets.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and don't like misunderstand what a fucking amazing band brand new were. And what a perfect booking they were. I've just looked at the Spotify listeners. So monthly listeners, 1.2 million brand new you've currently got. Marilyn Manson, 6.6 million. So like these people are not, that is not cancelled numbers. I mean,
Yeah, you can.
um,
The thing is, James, you'll be able to go into your with your Dice app, and you go to your 2000 Trees listenership, and you'll see brand new sitting there proudly, artist number 17 of the people
mate,
who literally buy tickets to your festival, and still you're just in this weird spot, as you say, what's cancelled, what's not cancelled. And it was because I knew nothing about this band. I have no skin in the game with brand new whatsoever. Don't know anything about their music. I'm sure they are great artists, and the guy is a scumbag. But when I first looked in, it was like, here, this guy's getting done for grooming in America for like 16 and 17-year-olds. I thought, well, that's odd, because if you're in the UK, the age of consent would have been 16, it wouldn't even have been a problem. And then the next one comes out like, fuck, the guy even went a stage further. He went to 15. He was fucking dedicated to being a scumbag. So, aye, it's not one that, it's not it's not one that's for 2000 Trees at all in my eyes, even morally. And I'm not a guy trying to cancel other bands, but it's just one of those ones where just ducking for a few years. I think the time when that's passed, your Mike Tyson's, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Motley Crue's, I think the time to just duck out for a few years and come back, and because there's no social media, hopefully time's just moved on and you can just get on with your lives and doesn't really matter what you've done. I think those ones are past. I think we're in an era now that people are sitting ready and waiting for you to pop back up when you decide that it's time to go again.
Yeah, but they're just doing it with the comments off now.
Well, I
It's
suppose,
just
well, I
like,
suppose that,
I
but
mean,
then we're talking about this podcast is our point of view as the two promoters that are doing our levels of shows. So maybe you're big enough and switching the comments off. Switching the comments off for Damnation is not an option for me. I can't and won't switch the comments off for Damnation. If I
no,
book McGrath and people aren't happy with that, I'll face up to it and I'll deal with it and I'll explain my decision. Just switching the comments off for Damnation is not uh, it's not a business model for us, and it's not. I doubt it's a business model for Art Tangent 2000 Trees either. You're going to lose a lot of
no.
your fan base by doing that. So, aye, it's a difficult one, but an unsavoury one.
Yeah, 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 it is. Well, I think it'd be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, I think that the other thing worth noting here is that this is not as relevant if you're Marilyn Manson, because Marilyn Manson's brand is like a bit like what I said about Dragged into Sunlight. His whole brand, I mean, I've read his book. I mean, his brand is based around him being right on the edge of what is acceptable and trying to be controversial. But like Brand New are they were like a band of the people in a way. And so this sort of thing does not sit well. These were fans. Obviously, there's an underage element to it, which you're never even going to remotely try and condone. But these were fans, right? You're grooming fans,
Yeah.
allegedly. So, I don't see how they could tour in the UK, but nothing would surprise me now. Now, if Marilyn Manson can, then maybe Brand New can. So, fucking hell.
So that's your take and on Brand New. Well, fortunately, the third one we're going to talk about, Clutch, has big disclaimer at the start. This has got nothing to do with cancel culture. This is just a band like changing tact on a bit of marketing and PR that we've got. Now, the person that asked this, it's a question. We'll preface it with a question. Jonathan Davis, what are your thoughts on the fact that Clutch, there we go. Drop that as well. Originally announced their end of year tour to be them playing their self-titled album in full, only for them to roll back in that with announcement. Instead, the setlist will consist of songs spanning 34-year career that will change from night to night. So ultimately, they said they were going to come out and play their debut album, and that's now changed. The poster's changed with it to what sounds a lot like a set.
Yeah.
Any given night, surely every set list is you playing songs from your back catalogue. So I mean, I suppose there's a wee bit changing night to night. If you're such a super fan that you go to more than one show, then perhaps that will excite you. But otherwise, they were going to play a debut album. They sold tickets on the basis of their debut album, and now they've changed that to a more regular set list. Do you have any insight in this, James, or any real opinion?
I've got an opinion. I've got no background information. And look, I'm definitely not here to kick Clutch because I've tried to book Clutch before. I bet you have as well. One day one of us will. I would have thought that there'd be a good booking.
They were
Probably
actually
work all
they were
three.
my first choice, my first top of the page first choice headliner for this year. Because we've
Right.
been talking previously, I desperately wanted Clutch to play this year, and then obviously they couldn't because they had this tour lined up.
There is a very small number of bands that would fit all three of our festivals, and Clutch are one of them, I think. Um, but I've got no insider information. I mean, like I always say, I'm dubious about album sets. I think it splits the fan base, and that can never be more true than when you've got a band. They weren't like a band that exploded big on album one, and that's their like Machine Heads Burn My Eyes, or they grew bigger and bigger. So therefore, if you play your debut album in full, it isn't going to please everyone. There's plenty of people won't have heard it. I've never heard Clutch's debut album, I don't think. Um, so it's a risk. I mean, it's pretty obvious that sales are poor here, right? I mean, it's like if
James,
you got
James, it's like, do you know, people say, like murder squad detectives, and that, so I say sometimes the most plausible explanation is the explanation. It's like everyone's always looking for, it's like, I always feel like every time you have any situations, name the band, name the circumstances, ticket sales. And
Yeah.
Clutch's agent, Clutch's management, Clutch themselves can come out and go, no, no, we were just about to sell out 15 of those dates. And I'd be like, okay, hold my hands up, I was wrong. But like the murder squad detective, the most plausible explanation is the explanation that you've got. That what you woke up, you're like, did it look like the husband had stabbed the brother? That's what happened. Then that's usually what happened. It's like ticket sales are most likely the situation, and I mean the internet's just get undefeated. I mean, people. I was reading people that maybe they went in for a practice session and realised that the songs didn't sound so great. And fucking maybe the drummer realised they couldn't play that number that fucking song. I'm like, where do you guys fucking make up some of this mad shit? I mean, maybe it is. I'm saying it's all possible because we haven't investigated or anything, but possibly they put out their debut album, as you say. It's not as if that was their. It was not as if that's their Jane Doe. It's not as if that's their Prowler in the Yard. It's just a good Clutch album, which I haven't even heard either. And they probably get a section of the fan base that were a bit like excellent, and then a majority of the fan base, the more casual listenership, like, okay, I'll skip this one and I'll come back when they're going to do, and I'm going to get the 5 or 6 hits off all my favourite great Clutch records. So I'm happy to hold my hands up if I'm wrong, and I'm not even saying that guaranteed it is ticket sales, but as you say, more likely than not, it wasn't doing the business they needed it to do, and they changed tack.
And you know, like some bands would do you might do an underplay tour of a sort of more niche thing, like a debut album. But this is like they're playing at the Roundhouse in London, they're playing at the Bristol Beacon. They're not fucking about with venue size. That's decent venue size for the sort of band they are. Um, and there's a video from one of the band on their Facebook page explaining it, and it's just not an explanation. The reaction's been pretty negative from if you at the end of the day, if you what they've done here is all the people that didn't buy a ticket are now thinking, actually, I might go and see that now because they're not playing that album I don't know. And that's what they were trying to do. But that will not take away from the fact that anyone who was excited about the debut album is now pissed off. And there's only one explanation. Um, and that is
You
ticket
think
sales.
you think they'll just come out and take the more transparent approach and just say, listen, guys, we we were going to do the first album. Clearly, didn't have the same sort of penetration with our fan base as we had hoped it did. We'll play the hits for the first album, and then we're going to mix it up with the greatest hits. Everyone else come along and join us. See, would that be so bad? I mean, is my PR brain just all scrambled and people can't accept the truth that you just go out and say, like, that's it. Like, maybe you don't mention poor ticket sales. Just do it that way. A genuine explanation. If that's the reason, a genuine explanation that we will still do the bangers off the first album, or maybe even focus on it, but you're going to get and then name drop 6 or 7 of your absolute Spotify top plays. So then everyone else gets that whole, oh, I'm definitely going to along because I'm going to get the stuff that I like off the other records. Is that so difficult for anyone to comprehend or take on board? Would there be a backlash to that? I just don't see it. I don't see that backlash, that level of honesty.
Well, that of course is what you would do on the Damnation forum. I think it is, and it would work for you because that's how you communicate. But I think it's tricky with a band because I agree with you. That would be a great way to deal with it. But they would get a load of shit because people don't give a fuck about. They wouldn't say, "Oh, thanks for telling us the truth." The internet's just full of wankers, isn't it? And I've felt that the bigger the festivals have got over the years, the more you go into the download comments and it's like, oh my God, I'm glad I don't book download because they're just horrible. The people are horrible. Even when you've done a good job, they're horrible. But the bigger trees in A to G have got, there's still an element of that, of people just thinking you're just like some faceless corporation that doesn't have a heart and like doesn't get hurt when you say this is this is the worst. Was it last year? There was someone where this is the worst 2000 Trees lineup since. Oh, how did you see? It still hurts me now. This used to be the best festival in the UK. How have you ruined it so badly, or something like that? And it's like, for fuck's sake, there was like 400 people being like, "You're a god. Well done. This is a great
How
one."
did you get so mean? That's you. You
Uh,
just tap
yeah,
the screen like, why are you being so mean? I mean, how can you
yeah,
be? I mean, and how can you be so like? How can that be your response to something that even if you did love it and you've grown out it and you're a bit like, okay, I liked it when it was a bit more rock and indie and a bit more niche and 1,500 fans there or 2,000 fans there, and maybe this isn't for me anymore with Don Broco. Well, I mean, how do you need to be so bit nasty? But just move on to whatever your niche is now, rather than be like, no, I'm still here to tell you that I fucking hate you. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
it's brutal. The internet is fucking brutal.
yeah. It really is. So I don't know if they could have done it that way. So I don't know what they could have done really, other than the problem is, as a band, you've got a strategy, right? A long-term strategy. They did say they're going to play some new songs, so they've got a new album coming, which they don't want to derail. So you've got to be very careful about downgrading venues, cancelling tours, and all that. The moment you're perceived to be um, sort of struggling, I just don't think it helps you in this sort of the music world. But it's fucking obvious, so they've kind of done it anyway. And we're not helping them here, are we?
Well, like, fuck it. At the end of the day, it's like Clutch. Jesus, happy to have you next year's headline, next year's damnation. I mean, like, I'm all behind the Clutch train. A great band. I suppose when you just this whole smoke and mirrors thing with the industry that when no one ever accepts defeat, then no one can accept defeat. No one can ever expect. I think that's not even a defeat. That change of course. That's all. Like, you know what? We we rolled the dice with an idea. It didn't work. And now let's say let's jiggle the idea about and let's make it what you want as the consumer. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just too radical for this fucking industry, but a wee bit of honesty would just be too fucking head blown for people. So, aye,
Yeah.
Clutch,
I would
best of
end,
luck. Hope it worked.
yeah, and I would end by commending them for saying the set list will be different every night on this. At least they're not because they're not known for being the sort of band that goes out and does what someone like, who's a good example? I bet Disturbed do this, same fucking set every night. They're not, they're a band that will mix it up and make it interesting and pull out deep cuts and they said they're going to do that and that's cool. I think Clutch are fucking great, really. It's not me trying to wind back so I haven't lost my booking for next year. But
You
I
know
think
what?
they're
There's
I think
things
they're a
like that.
brilliant band.
There's things like that as well. It's like we're only getting fuck's sake getting a pin. We're not. There is no part of this like, ha, fuck you, dragged into something. Like, ha, fuck you, brand. Like even brand new, the one you could say fuck you, brand new. It's not, but that like, oh, you're offering up your opinion from industry folk who would either book these bands or potentially book these bands. It's no. I mean, if anyone's that surprised, really, like, oh, well, did Clutch do that? Because could one possibility be that maybe ticket sales weren't great? I mean, if you're not there already, then fuck me, you do need this podcast in your life more than you think. You know what I mean? It's like maybe band practice didn't go well. Ah, fucking hell, people. God bless you all. So, what we're going to say about I saw goddamn merch. I hope that people are using the pod 10 code on there. And we don't yet have we need the Lose Brews validation. We need to see some people in t-shirts on that forum and Instagram page saying, I got my new pig destroyer or I got a phobic nosebleed or obituary t-shirt. Or sleep token if that's your jam. T-shirt from ISO merch. Your new vinyls arrived because I'll go to Ali and he's like, nah, no one's used that, pal. The same way Lose Brews used to tell me no one used the code, and I was watching like 4,000 bottles getting posted on the forum of people who had used the code. So support that site. They have everything you want. I noticed the last time when I tried to be a wee bit cheeky, they have a new deal. I don't know if it's still valid as of this second or when it comes out, but the other day you buy 3 t-shirts and it was like automatic 15% discount. I tried to add pod 10 at the other side to see if I get 25% discount. They're too clever for that game. So it's just the 15% and we won't get credit for it. But I don't care. As long as you guys are getting the merch at fucking discount prices and they are seeing the business, then I am more than happy that. So ISO merch, EYESORE merch.com. Pod 10 is the code to use if you want 10% off your merch. T-shirts are like 19 quid, couple of quid off them, delivered for 20 quid. fucking half the price you're going to get them at the gig you're going to go to.
Lovely stuff. Mate, you
Okay?
remind me I need to go and buy some more stuff.
Aye, especially after they fucking refunded your vinyls, you bastard. I mean, I
Yeah.
never get a chance to go and I never get a chance to go and buy vinyls before you're so refunded. I was like, bastard. So, aye, best of luck with that. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Questions, James. Let's see what I've got.
Okay, you're gonna like this one, Gav. You'll like this one. Don't go for a pee break. Bloody hell. Is this a Scottish name? Can you pronounce that name for me? Fuck me.
Rory,
Rory? Is
Rory
it
Mulvey,
Rory?
Rory Mulvey.
Okay.
There you
That's a
go.
good
The
old
first time
Scot.
I've ever been useful for any
It's a good
pronunciation.
old that is a good old Scottish spelling. Rory Mulvey. As per James's request, here is my question from Glasgow. So this is the question that Gav walked out on and went for a piss. From bands that have played your festivals, put together a four-piece supergroup, drums, bass, and guitar, then the fourth can be vocals and or second instrument. I was glad to hear it wasn't just the question that made Gav walk off stage.
To be honest, how comfortable would you be if I walked off camera just now and filled this up while you answer it?
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
Yes, mate.
Unbelievable. You do it. You do it. Okay, this is weird. Um, okay, so on vocals, I'm going to go for Ryan Redman from Exit 10 because I always fucking loved his vocals on Exit 10. I was listening to them today for the first time in many, many years. They were a real 2000 Trees band back in the day. Um, they should get back together and play 2000 Trees. So yeah, Ryan on vocals, guitar, Mike Van Aert, songwriting and playing guitar. Second guitar, we're going to have Toby Stewart. Now, Toby he has the distinction of having played the most sets of anyone at Arctangent. Like literally, he has been on stage in Memory of Elephants multiple times, No Violet, Skin Failure, and a bunch of other bands. He's in more bands than I know. I think he's massively underrated. Also played 2000 Trees a bunch of times. So Toby's my second guitarist. Bass, Mr. Tom Begley, because I feel like he'd cry gently into my shoulder if I didn't choose him. And he's a great bassist. Well, he's a very good bassist. Let's not go for great. I nearly called Tom Begley great. I fucking hate you for leaving me
Don't
here,
ever
you
do
prick.
that. Don't ever do that.
And finally on drums is Ben Collar from Converge. What a fucking band, mate. Do you remember the band Exit 10?
Yes.
They just came to me today and he's my vocalist. I was quite pleased with my selection. Um, but yeah, that's my super group. That is a better answer, Rory, than I could have given you live on stage. So I'm glad you gave me the chance.
See, you're still talking. I started to panic a wee bit because I did go for a pee and then I filled up my pint and I started panicking like he's just going to be left at the other side there and like into panic because he'll know no one's
It
there to be talking to.
it
I
was
filled up.
awkward. I didn't enjoy it.
Look how much I left for the top because I tried to rush back. So
Was that panic?
I hope you enjoyed that answer, Rory. Tom
So
Redman.
we keep doing these things. Wait a minute, you fucking don't be skipping the fucking question. We keep Mitch keeps trying to get me to do these things where I have to sit on Zoom on my own and voice over the like the trees lineup or the arctangent lineup and talk about it. And it's so fucking hard to do. It is so difficult to do when you sitting there not saying anything makes it a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So that was horrible. That was my least favorite bit of the entire podcast, 66, 67 episodes. You going to get another cider. Are you going to swerve this question?
Eh, so this is the one about the guys in the band.
He's not
So
even listened to the fucking question.
the drummer for Tool, the Trent Reznor on vocals,
Good.
and after that, I don't really, I don't really know any guitarists like I know guitarists and bass players, but I don't know what makes them good and what makes them bad. So Tom Begley on bass, and who plays guitar that we know?
Um,
Who's your
an
guitarist?
actual who's my guitarist?
Aye, Slash.
In what? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a hell of a band. Let's have Slash. Good.
Slash
Yeah.
Tom Begley, the drummer for Tool, and Trent Reznor is my super
Ah,
group.
mate, there'd be some fucking party times in that band. They'd have too much fun. They'd never write any songs. Okay, good. Right, next question. Um,
Tom Redman. I saw a video the other day about festivals. The example given is Sam Hain. This is one I was talking about earlier, stipulating that festival goers cannot wear certain bands' merch because they're deemed NSBM. I looked this up today. That means National Socialist Black Metal, apparently. They have a checklist of bands and say they'll refund tickets if you don't wish to comply. Would either of you go as far as having a list of bands whose merch you're not allowed to wear at your festivals in the name of creating an inclusive space? Do you see pros and cons of this approach?
well, it's tempting to ban people for wearing something like a Burzum t-shirt. So you do see Burzum t-shirts around. I think there might was there a Burzum t-shirt doing the rounds at Arctangent last year or the year before? And for people that don't know, Burzum, the main guy or the guy, Varg, is in prison for murder. Um, and he started a neo-Nazi organization. He's got like quite a long bad guy list of stuff. But so you could definitely, if you were so minded to, put Burzum on your list, couldn't you? But then we suddenly find ourselves back at Pantera and back at Marilyn Manson and back at Brand New. And like, where are you drawing the line? Obviously, you don't really want anyone walking around in a Lost Prophets t-shirt needs their head read. But I bet you there's plenty of those 1.2 million brand new listeners. So that are walking around in t-shirts. So where are we drawing the line? And therefore, there's no fucking way I'm banning any t-shirts at my festivals. I just think, how are you making that decision? I mean, there's that famous Cradle of Filth, Jesus is a cunt t-shirt, which caused absolute uproar in the 90s. People were getting arrested for wearing it, and you do still see them around and about nowadays. Um, and it's very offensive to some people, and it's meant to be offensive. And like, I'm not really the police on that. Uh, so no to banning t-shirts. Having said that, if I ran a black metal festival, maybe I would think differently because there is a problem in some parts of that genre attracting fucking Nazis or neo-Nazis, isn't there? And it's um, pretty unsavory stuff that goes on in the lyrics. And again, we touched on that a bit in the live tour, and you and I have spoken about it privately behind the scenes. Some stuff we know about bands, and it's all a bit fucking. Some of it's a bit racist and not stuff that I want anywhere near my festivals. Um, so maybe if I ran a black metal event, I would. But like, I think the crowd regulates these things. If you walk around in a Burzum t-shirt, you get a load of fucking shit at Arctangent. And I think that's probably enough for me. Yeah, that's my answer. What are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I don't because I disagree with this policy by Sihan entirely. But that's a tough statement because the guy Benj who runs that festival, he vocally says he was inspired to start this festival because he listened to Damnation Versus and credits me as the guy who gave him the fucking impetus to go away and start his festival over there. And me and him are buddies. I mean, we'd be closer buddies if we fucking festivals didn't happen 1 week apart. So, I mean, I'd been across at his festival that just happened last week, featuring Dragged into Sunlight, had we not been on tour at the time. So I wish this guy and his festival nothing but complete success. Fuck, I hope. I mean, one day if his festival ends up being the biggest indoor metal festival in Europe, then smashing, good for him. But I don't agree with this whatsoever. I hate it actually. It's under the guise of that good well-meaning, that whole who wants these scumbag t-shirts here, who likes these fucking people, and the people that are willing to wear these t-shirts, if they know even what they're wearing, are not the people you want associated with the event. I totally get that, but you start with Buzzroom, and I saw it was I have not I only looked at this today, so I don't know where the list starts and stops. But there was a video doing the rounds that showed a bunch of these bands, and I don't even know I don't know anything about Graveland. There's a couple that seem to be like explicitly Nazi, like the double A and the titles and stuff. I didn't even know those bands existed, so I get that, right? So you're looking at that, right? Okay, people are showing up and literally may as well have a swastika in their back. It's not a case of I'm saying You can wear anything, so just wear a swastika to damnation. A couple of things going to happen straight away. There are laws that protect people. There's breach of the peace, and in Scotland there's one about causing fear and alarm in public. And when you show up with somebody in your t-shirt says "kill all pensioners," like you can't legally just walk down Glasgow High Street with "kill all pensioners" on your back. Maybe even that Jesus is a cunt one would be deemed as being causing fear and alarm or a breach of the peace in Scotland. So there are laws that stop you just going about with whatever the fuck you want to wear on your top. And then you get these bands, if they're outwardly Nazi, you show up at damnation, you're probably going to get called out for it. And I would have no issue whatsoever if I saw someone in a t-shirt that was outwardly Nazi, like literally. We're not. This isn't a nuanced. Is this one of these edgelord bands for like Scandinavia that are trying to be like talk about their motherland? You know what? You got a lot of these people that accuse Heilung and Waldruna. It's like that fundamentally is racist in the sense that Vikings went to other fucking countries and raped and pillaged. You know what I mean? And saw themselves as the fucking master race hundreds of years before Hitler ever done it, you know, and people can get themselves a wee bit into that headspace, and other people like that's just how history was, and you could go to any country and pick out any fucking nuanced argument about why we're all cunts at some point, and I just feel like you start there, and you start with this wee group of bands, and then you go, okay, well, what about McGrath? Okay, ban them. Well, what about Tack? Ban them. Okay, well, what about Emperor? Drummer killed somebody, didn't he? And then they went back out and toured with the drum again. Okay, ban them. But Sean was with Emperor. Okay, ban him. Like okay, well now this fucking spectrum is now we're starting to get to there's bands with probably pretty left leaning. We're just but who's drawing the line? Where the band starts. I mean, this is just in this neck. This isn't even talking about your likes of your brand news and Marilyn Manson's and Disturbs, and you're like, okay, well, who's policing it? Who's drawing the line? Who's making themselves the moral conductor of where the line does get to be drawn? And then, how far do you go with that before? How does it sound when you take away the context? Say, I determine what you get to wear and what you don't get to wear. It's like, well, that sounds a lot like fucking fascism. I mean, that sounds a lot like the Third Reich, where you're now being dictated to what you can wear and what you can't wear. You're like, you're no snakes back to the far left and the far right being a wee bit too fucking close for comfort. And I just my advice to Benj as well is I don't know what the laws are in Belgium, but I am very, very tuned in. I have studied laws on defamation in Scotland. And if McGrath had been a Scottish band and I was a Scottish festival organiser and I had put McGrath in my festival and then I decided that I was taking McGrath off my festival because I had deemed them to be Nazis and they had went to a lawyer, the onus is on me to prove that they are Nazis and I have not defamed them of loss of earnings and loss of future earnings. So now I have to prove that in court. So what have I got to prove? That 42 people said it on Twitter, no one gives a shit. Another 20 people said it on Instagram, no one gives a shit. So that has no legal basis whatsoever. Okay, well, 26 years ago, one of the guys previously, before he was in McGrath, released 100 cassettes, and the cassettes were called Free From Jews, translated. Like, that's no great, but what's that got to do with McGrath? They were backing musicians for another band that people claim are Nazi. That's a bit flimsy. Or there are a record label people say sketchy. Do you have anything here to actually have these guys? Do you have anything at all that says that these guys are Nazis? Because if you don't, you're paying them 50 fucking grand or more in legal fees for taking them off and defaming them. Again, you've got no like you can never go, oh, the internet said so. The court of law doesn't give a shit what the internet said. So you need to be careful with stuff like that as well. You can't just be banning people and taking bands off your lineup and just hoping that they don't take legal action. Because when they take legal, it all gets very real. All that support that you thought you had behind you when it was all, let's all get the retweets and love hearts on social media and everyone going, yes, go and get them. The people that are doing it have nothing to take. A lot of them, they don't own anything. So no one's going after them. The reason that they're not getting sued for defamation is they fuck all to take from them. You've got something to take. You've got a business. So you need to be careful when you're out there and doing that. I mean, I'm using McGlath as that example because I understand the context and the background in it, and I made that booking. But it's dangerous when you start going down that path. You can get so blinded with the whole go punch a Nazi, and by all means, go punch. I'm quite happy to see Nazis getting punched, but when you go down that route, you get so blinded with your crusade, you forget that that's what the Nazis are doing. That's what the guys are going. Oh, we'll use violence to get our way, and then we'll use violence to get our way, but we're doing it in a different way and meeting in the middle. You need to be at some point. You need to be careful about just how you're going about these things because it does a lot. It does start to get a wee bit right wing for my liking.
Yeah, you make an excellent point actually that by writing someone's band name down on a list of Nazi bands, you do leave yourself pretty open to fucking getting a big old suing at some point. So yeah, good. So no band t-shirts at Damnation this year.
No ban on band t-shirts, but
Band
you show up with
double
something
N.
I
Yeah.
I fully expect the Damnation crowd to have their say on your appearance at the festival. And if I see you personally, I have no issue with highlighting my thoughts on it either. I'm just thinking the whole when you start doing that, you're opening up to you're very soon you're going to find yourself with a band that you support being told that that should be a band that's on that list alongside everyone else because as we've said time and time again, you're never purer than the purest. There's somebody always one step further down. There's people out there who genuinely believe that black metal fundamentally, by association, any way, shape, or form, is racist. So you like any black metal band, you are racist. And like you're like, that's ridiculous. But someone believes it. So they want you cancelled.
Yeah. It's weird. The whole thing's weird. I don't even because I like black metal and I find that strange. Like in the UK, is there I feel uneducated here. Are they really like are there neo-Nazis going to watch black metal bands in the UK? Is that a thing?
But
Is
I've
that a
never
thing?
but I've never seen it. I have never seen that. It's not to say that it wouldn't happen because this is one of these ones you start getting a wee bit of territory. Don't don't be don't be claiming that doesn't happen if somewhere in a basement somewhere it has happened. But not to my experience. I haven't experienced it. I haven't seen it. It hasn't been a complaint I've seen. I mean, you had a weird situation when you booked Hylung. When you had Hylung on, there was a wee bit of there was people going out because some of that Norse symbolism is associated with Nazism and or the black that fucking like. So there was people. Oh, a guy had a vest on and it had some sort of cross or iron cross. Or like even I'm not aware of it. I don't mean to sound ignorant with this, but people were finding stuff on these battle jackets or Viking dress or Norse cosplay and saying that, oh, by the way, that's actually offensive for reason X, Y, and Z. And you're like, I'm not even sure if the person wearing that is that's they're taking it or if they're just following the lead of like this is how people would have dressed in fucking I don't know 400, 500 years ago. It's it's complicated and it's again it's a very unsavory situation. But some people use it as their reason to get out of bed in the morning to go and as you say, it's like how keen are some people to make sure that Drag Didn't Sound Like never play another show? It's like, mate, you can disagree with a band without having to take away the livelihoods of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Nice,
Well, not good.
nice fucking
Not good.
softballs tonight, James. Yes.
4 pints of cider, mate, and get you talking about some serious topics. Okay. Well, this is a fucking serious topic from Steve Dunn. After the recent post from Catatonia and the constant "that's not my Wild Hearts" calls from people, when and why does a band stop being the band it was and really should rename themselves? Note, I have followed the Wild Arts with and without CJ and Danny. First saw them with BAM, and they were still the Wild Arts with Devon Townsend, in my opinion. Okay.
Mate, we're talking about the Wild Hearts. You need to start us off. I
Well,
mean, I'm
it's
just
not. It's actually a question about Catatonia. It's about the question is about if you're going to change the band, is it still the band or not? Now, for me, I think the question should always be who's the creative engine and who is the sound behind the band. Like there is the creativity of the Wild Hearts is all through Ginger, right? Now that is not to say that there aren't really important bits of the Wild Arts, because there are that are made by particularly CJ, the guitarist, but also other members of the band. Now, like I think a good one to look at is like Iron Maiden, right? Bruce Dickinson left. So should that next incarnation have been called Iron Maiden? I mean, the reality is, I mean, I think that probably could have worked with the right frontman. The right frontman wasn't Blaze Bayley. So you get some bands like a band like Yes, like the 70s prog bands love doing this, where it ends up being five new members, entirely fucking new members. And probably a band like Kiss will end up with fucking Gene Simmons AI fucking avatar or whatever, and a load of hired hands in 20 years' time. So for me, it's is if we're going to talk about the Wild Arts, is the Wild Arts at the moment? Yes. One member needs to be in the Wild Arts, and that is Ginger. Unfortunately, that if you're the others, that is the reality. Now, I don't know about Catatonia because I'm not actually a Catatonia fan, really. I've gone in on them a couple of times and never really got anywhere with it. Um, they started with two main people, right? And
Yeah.
those two people are still the main two people, and one of them has just left. And he's left because he wanted to play the old heavy stuff, and the other guy doesn't want to play the old heavy stuff. So, and his leaving statement was, "I wanted the band to end," and the other guy doesn't want the band to end. He shouldn't really be carrying on without him. So in that case, without being a Catatonia fan or really knowing what that actually means, probably they should. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that
It,
that that one's a bit of a weird one because it was weird because I've got a wee bit of insight in the fact that I was trying last year to get those. So the Catatonia had a real sort of death doom, almost death metal ones at the very start. I mean, proper growls and death metal vocals. My understanding is the singer isn't doesn't want to do those vocals, or maybe isn't even able to do those vocals anymore. But damaging his throat for so that's not something that he's into. And clearly, this other guy I found the member was more interested. So we went somewhere in between. We ended with the Dead End King set, which is it's more of the later middle period, maybe 10 years old. And then here we are, because they have got more gentle and melodic and that sort of like sad dad rock kind of style. And they are an excellent band, but aye, when you get two founding members who clearly have different paths, it's like 'cause I didn't go in on the their statements are like these fucking band statements. It feels like whether it's fucking jail or dragged into sunlight or catatonia, it seems like every day there's just fucking huge big statements coming out from bands. Like I've got my own fucking statements to write. I mean, I'm trying to organise damnation of a podcast. I get like
yeah.
sitting all day just reading fucking other band statements. So there's a lot of times I just don't have the headspace to take it all in. But from understanding what I was reading on the Damnation forum, I had a bit of Batushka question mark left behind. Like one guy saying going in this direction without this guy, and another guy got a bit like should have ended, but here I am, want to play the older stuff. And we go like, fuck, who's got access to the Facebook and Instagram account because that's going to be the band. That's going to be the band we're going to follow for a couple of years until the court sort this out. So,
There's
aye,
there's nothing there's nothing more ridiculous than two bands of the same name touring it. Like there were two Batushkas, weren't there?
I mean,
There are currently two This Will Destroy Yous. There are two This Will Destroy Yous. There are two yeses. Like what the fuck is work? I mean, you could just about get away with it if you're Yes and you're like one of the biggest bands ever, but it's absolutely fucking crackers.
absolute
But
fucking scratcher. So, I mean, to answer this guy's point, it's a weird because he's talking about when do you follow a band that was split? No, the front man or the front woman is definitely the one that carries that iconic power. Like, even though I'm right in thinking that Kerry King is the creative mind behind Slayer, yet Tom Araya was the one that was in most of the album covers. Kerry King, that was, to be fair to him, was largely beside him. But if Kerry King's the one that's doing, oh, then he is Slayer, isn't he? He's the one who could legitimately go on and try. I mean, Tom couldn't have went and just cut a bit into Slayer. But then I tried to look up at it when Linkin Park reformed because I was a bit like, right, okay, was there a creative genius in Linkin Park and Chester Bennington was just a talented frontman? In which case, the creative geniuses get every right to try and make something happen, but everything was sort of like credited towards five or six of them in the songs when I could see. So I
So I
couldn't
think
see like
Mike Shinoda is he's the guy. He probably is the guy in Linkin Park. He probably was the mastermind, the dude that
so
the
so
rapping dude, but he's actually the songwriter, I think.
so in that case you're a bit like, well, you know what, you get whoever the new one that comes in, and you've got the rest of the band there, and someone hasn't been forcibly removed or hasn't been shat on, the tragic circumstances no longer there. You're a bit like, right, is Linkin Park still Linkin Park with Chester Bennington? If Chester Bennington didn't, I mean, he's no Trent Reznor. He didn't write Hut. He didn't write fucking Numb or whatever else. I'm not okay, but we listened to so much Linkin Park in that tour, and I can't remember any of the fucking names.
Don't tell anyone that that's our pre-show ritual is Linkin Park, mate.
Or
We were
middle
going
ground.
to keep that secret.
And then you get some bands that just seem to. I mean, nothing springs directly to mind. They just seem to just change members seamlessly, and you just stick with it regardless. So you're just like, that is that point. That's you just drummer goes, fucking bassist goes. Even if it's just somebody who just managed to just pile forward. It's so much is about public perception of what you think. So I don't think there's many people out there that are as deep as you and thinking who's the creative mind behind this. But like Chester Bennington being such a big, it's like he was the focal point even beyond, even before Mike. You know that he was Chester Bennington was the guy. Is he? Everyone knew who Chester Bennington was. So when he's not there, you're a bit like fucking hell. Linkin Park without him front up is a bit weird.
I agree.
Even if it wasn't even his lyrics, even if it's a bit like there you go, like a pop singer. I've written a song, and there you go, Chester. Do it with your amazing vocals. But like he just became such a focal point for that band. It's difficult for people, myself included, to think of Linkin Park without Chester Bennington. Whereas
I,
I
I
think you
totally
get that
agree.
with so many other bands that just push that through, but maybe people that play bigger parts in the creative process.
Yeah, yes, I agree. In that example, I do agree that his vocals are just so fucking so brilliant that you can't imagine it without him, really. And if you look at some other big bands, like you got like Metallica, right? So Cliff Burton died. He was a massive part of the writing process, but ultimately was the bassist. They moved on. And then Jason Newsted joined, and then he left, and Rob Trujillo joined, and it's just like a revolving door of bassists. Now, could they change guitarist? Yes. Could they change drummer? Maybe. Could they change James Hetfield? No fucking chance in a million years, right?
Yeah.
He is
Am I
like
right? Am I right in
he's
thinking is like if Metallica actually changed drummer for a genuine top level talent, that Metallica as a live prospect would be so much more engaging.
no, I'm not going down the Lars bashing route. I think he was a
I'm not even
massive
bashing,
part of
but
right.
like Lars has obviously played his part in writing all those songs. Right, a talented guy, clearly a decent drummer, but isn't it the case that if you had Dave Lombardo or when they had Jody Jordanson behind the kit, that the songs were coming out the way they might have sounded in the 80s rather than what they sound like now?
Maybe,
Or is
maybe.
it, you feel free to tell me no, that he's an amazing
Look,
drummer
I
and he gets shouted too much?
Look, I'm not a drummer, and drummers get very excited about this, and some of them love him and some of them don't. At the end of the day, the last time I saw Metallica was at that double set download, and I thought it was fucking great. And I wouldn't change Lars, even with all his fucking foibles and stuff. And with the other band, a slightly more interesting example, that's my last example, is the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, I've given them a kick in loads of times on it, but actually, if we I loved Blood Sugar Sex Magic when it came out, and then John Frusciante left the band. And who, if you were to say who is the best person in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, it's definitely him, right? He is definitely the best. So, but they replaced him. They replaced him with another fucking world-beating guitarist, Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction. They wrote an album which is unlike their other albums, and it's like another thing, which is different. So weirdly, I'm going to go back on everything I said and kind of be like, that is actually okay to do if you do something different and interesting. Um, which I can't believe I'm being nice about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but they did do that. That was interesting. Their One Hot Minute album is pretty good and is interesting. and then they became the worst band of all fucking time again.
Yeah. I mean, remind me because you were talking about the worst band all time again, and then I mentioned earlier Motley Crue. When just to hark back a wee bit to that band t-shirts things, it's like it's not just that 6 degrees of separation when it comes to black metal. Like you show up and you're wearing a Motley Crue t-shirt to this guy's festival or any festival, are you banned? Now, Motley Crue, in their own book, two of them raped a woman and then wrote about it. One of them crashed a car, killing his pal and left a teenage girl in a coma. The other one beat the fuck out his wife. Black metal band. Done in a Nazi salute in Finland. It's like, one of these things is not like the other. I mean, I'm not saying they can't all be scumbags, but is the Motley Crue t-shirt allowed? Is that just a, do we laugh that all? Is that just a, oh, girls, girls, girls? I mean, it's like, my brain can't comprehend the full discussion unless you're going to have the full discussion. And you can't have Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirts and Motley Crue t-shirts allowed, but a Taka t-shirt or a Marduk t-shirt banned.
I love it. No one had Gav beaten off about Motley Crue on their bingo card, but it was the thing we all needed to save this episode of us talking about really, really dark, sad stuff. It wasn't intentionally supposed to be a serious one, was it? But it ended up having lots of serious topics.
Well, I suppose we have that in our locker, unfortunately. The I'd liked it to have been just happier and geeky. But anyway, take everything we say as what it is, an opinion. And
Yeah.
so far so good. We haven't had people try to come after us in an unfair fashion. We can disagree with us, that's the whole point, that's fine. But we've not had people doing the whole Twitter fucking rants and some of the shit that I got back in the day. So long may that continue. And it's been a good one. Lose Bruce,
Let's do it.
mate. This is
I
the
got
time for
some,
it.
mate. I got some anal vomit in my eye today, which is fucking wild. It's wild. It was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
How how did you make that? How did you let that happen?
Well, I literally just rubbed my eye, and then my I couldn't open my eye, like it was just shut and absolutely throbbing. I mean, it's the only chili based thing I've been anywhere near, so it was definitely anal vomit. Um, yeah,
So is that his ad read? Is that the ad read?
that's
Don't
my
put
Lose Bruce anecdote for the day.
don't put anal vomit in your eye.
Yeah,
This is the best week ever in my love affair with Lou's Brews. The weather's been so good. I've had 3 barbecues in a row, and you know where Lou's Brews shines to a different level? Barbecues. I mean, it's just a fucking. It's just a selection, innit? I mean, the first night would have been Sunday. Burgers. You have burgers. The rule is you need to use slap and pickle. Unbelievably fucking great. Chicken yesterday, I went with his Vex T-Rex or Vex Rex or fucking his maple honey one, which is unbelievably good as well. And then tonight, we've done a side of salmon on the barbecue with his Thai, my darling, sweet chili sauce. And it all wrapped in tinfoil, baked through. My God. My God. It's just been, me and my son are just all in on the, we're all in on the fucking Ingme experience. It's been the Loose Brews barbecue combo collab is the way forward. I am going through them at a rapid pace in the last few days. So you want some of that sunshine activity with the barbecue, some hot sauces to perk up your burgers, your rolls and sausage and bits of chicken, then have at it. Loose Brews or Loose Bruce, I believe it is still an active URL.co.uk. Pod 15% off. You will not regret it. I hope that everyone who picked up all those bottles on tour is enjoying them. Did you see our 2 Norwegian listeners? One Norwegian listener met up with the other Norwegian listener. He gave them a bottle of 2 promoters, 1 sauce.
I did. I did.
That's fucking spectacular. That is absolutely spectacular. What a community.
That's absolutely incredible. And your ad read was better than mine, so well done. Are you? Everything is frozen for me. I can still hear you, so I'm assuming you can still hear me. So we'll just keep going, right? I
Yeah,
can't
well,
see you
yeah.
moving.
We've made it this far. Oh, that and this is a difficult, but just pretend I'm away for a pee.
I'm not moving, and you're not moving either, so it's good. But we're good. We're good. We're on the record, so we're safe. We're in a safe place.
Well, tell me what's happening when you're on the record, James.
Well, look, I'm gonna do something. I haven't asked you if I can do it because I only just decided to do it. I think we should put a meth song on. So I'm gonna pick the song "Doubt" by Meth, but that's not my on the record pick. I just think we should give Meth a bump. They're fucking great. They're horrible. You should listen to Meth. So we're gonna put that on. My song is "Sick Ride" by Karen Dio. Now, this is an absolute pop rock banger. It's she just supported Limp Bizkit on their UK tour. She is a very new and small UK artist, but this song, Sick Ride, has just passed 1 million streams. So it's a fucking hit. It's blown up. It is so catchy. Um, Karen is playing second on the main stage on Thursday at 2000 Trees after your mate Meryl Streep. People should get on board with this now before she's headlining the entire festival. This song is an absolute fucking banger. You're not going to expect me to like this, but it's just like so sugary and poppy, but it's brilliant.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. An hour, mate, Meryl Streep. Hour, mate.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Aye, you can you. Listen, what tell you what a week it's been for the old fucking ego boost as well. We goes out, we does the tour, it's all fucking great. Goes back up the road, and then you've got Dinner Celestial Birds fucking thanking us or thanking me, the damnation, the pod, all for their success. Then we lost to see drop a brand new tune and get a name check on the linear notes class on top of class, and then the third bit, which was also great, I forgot because you really put me off because you can't see what's going on, can you? Is everything
Fuck
frozen for
no.
you?
Mate, I
No,
can't see
you're
anything.
it's really off-putting when you're talking to someone who can't see what's going on because it's no longer a conversation. It's just it's a fucking joke.
Could you still see me? Am I still moving
You're
around?
moving perfectly. The whole fuck, everything, and you just look so like out of it now because you're like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, anyway, I'm gonna go with a feel good summer tune. I'm gonna go. I feel like I've put rival schools undercovers on before. I'm almost certain I have, so I'm not gonna do that. And if I haven't, I'll go back to it. So then I've got my children were born to Radiohead Optimistic. My daughter was born to my oldest daughter was Rival Schools Undercovers on, and then my third daughter, the youngest one, was born to the XX Angels, and I'm pretty sure that I've got undercovers on there already. So I'm going with Angels by the XX, a real feel good, happy one about someone feeling lonely, desolate, and fucking unwanted. So I'm going with that one. Beautiful,
Lovely.
beautiful. Do you like the XX?
Um, no, I've never really been into them. I actually saw them at the Camden Crawl, but when they were when they were first like bubbling around and nothing was really happening with them, in the tiniest little bar at the Camden Crawl, and they were very unpolished and very boring and very shit. And obviously now it's like or it went on to be a big show. I don't think they're still a band anymore, are they? I don't know.
Oh, did they give up? It was one of those because they got so fucking massive, especially in Europe, I think. But I went with my wife to see them, and there's a place called SW3G in Glasgow, and then they've got an outside bit, the Galvanisers Yard. So it was an outdoor festival or an outdoor event. It was their show, and it was absolutely brilliant. But it's like it's so unlike everything. Like I don't like anything like that. That whole nonchalant sort of like I could be doing this in my bedroom or on stage. It wouldn't make any difference. But there's just something about the chemistry between the two and just how great her vocals are, especially in this one. That when you strip it all back, to be that good, to really just have What is it? Some keyboard behind you, maybe a bit of light guitar, and her vocals. Fucking love that song. I love a lot. In fact, I love both the XX records that I've got, and I just felt something. I was joking about it being a feel good hit for the summer because there's nothing they do that's really feel good. It's all pretty depressing. But I feel like even the happy music I listen to is very depressing. The National, Fighting Rabbit, the XX. That's I don't know if I do happy music to be fair. In a different way for you, like you don't do happy music in any fucking form or description.
Mate,
On
you need
people,
to
I
listen
suppose.
to fucking Sick Ride by Karen Dio, man.
Tech Ride by
It's
Karen Deal's the
happy.
answer. Right, James.
Yeah,
I feel like we have got there. We stumbled through that end bit, but however, we got there, and the rest of
we're
it
there. We
was
did it.
deep and meaningful. I look forward to seeing this video if I'm frozen at the same time. I brought it into this room so we could have an internet connection. So it's a bit of a kick in the balls that done that and still don't. I believe that'll be your problem, not mine. If this shows up and you are moving about in this part of the video, it is definitely your problem, not mine. So I'm glad we can resolve that bit, and I hope it isn't mine. I will see you next week.
Happy days, mate. See you there.
We will go again.